you all for joining us. We are going to get started today. We are really excited to have with us Mike McCready. He's a great friend of Converge Consulting. My name is Becky Vardaman. I'm just here to get us started and answer any questions along the way. We are excited to do our webinar today, Save Money and Achieve Better Results with Google Adwords. I'm going to just pass it over to Mike and let him get started.
Great, thanks a lot, Becky. Hopefully you can all hear me okay, and the internet's not too frozen up here in Canada yet. So what I want to do is just briefly kind of do a little bio about myself. I've been working in the digital space for over 14 years, and the last 5 years in a strategic leadership role in marketing and higher education at some colleges here in Canada. I've been blogging for 5 to 7 years and on Twitter and using all these tools. And today I want to spend a few moments with you guys talking about Google AdWords and be able to help you use this tool, which is a great tool, to achieve some of your results, whether it's recruitment or engagement with your customers, that kind of thing. So one of the things, I guess, to start off the bat here is that the goal of an AdWords campaign is not really to generate the most traffic possible. And I've done a few workshops, I've talked to a number of clients, and this is sometimes the view that, if as long as we're getting, thousands and thousands of impressions, our AdWords campaign is successful. But the reality is that that isn't really a good measurement, even though you do want to look at that. What you really want to accomplish is to generate high quality traffic, right? And that can be represented in a number of things, whatever your business goals are, whether it's applications, information requests, downloads of certain files. There's a number of things that you can kind of connect that to, but you really want to focus less on the impressions and more on generating high quality traffic. And hopefully some of the things that we talked about today will help you, if you are using AdWords right now, will help you be able to adjust your activities so that you are generating higher quality results. One of the workshops that I went and delivered, I did mention to them, as you fine-tune your campaign and your keywords and your targeting, you may see that your impressions may drop dramatically or slightly, but that you'll see other metrics increase, like your click-through rate and your conversion rate, and those are the ones that really do matter. So that's one thing. As you start to apply some of these principles, if you aren't using these principles now, you may see that your impressions might reduce, but you should see other metrics increase, which is what you want to see. So what I'd like to do right now is maybe just kind of get Becky to throw out a poll to get some feedback on your expertise or your comfort level using Google AdWords. So the question is, what's your experience with Google AdWords? So if you wouldn't mind picking one of those options here, and help me understand kind of the audience that we're working with. And Becky, when you see if all the answers come in, or when we're good to go, just give me a cue there. All right. So while those answers come in here, I'll just move along. So there are 4 factors for a successful AdWords campaign. And today we're going to really focus heavily on the keywords component, but I want to touch on the other factors as well. So with keywords, really choosing the right keywords can help your ad be seen by your target audiences. But the wrong keyword can cost you a lot of your ad budget. Okay? So I'm seeing some of these polls come in. So 42% so far have never used AdWords. 21% have created an account but not run a campaign. So it looks like this is a good, and 12% have used it a few times. So this webinar should help you maybe step up your game using Google AdWords. And feel free throughout the presentation, if a question comes up, ask away and we'll answer it in line what's relative to what I'm talking about. So the other factor, the second factor is targeting, and that can be devices like mobile phones, tablets, desktop computers, or geographic targeting. So if you aren't really going in and setting those things up, it can cost you to waste a lot of your money. If you're really only servicing, let's say, Southern California, and your ad is set to go to all the United States, a lot of your audiences may be missed, and you may be wasting your dollars on people who aren't interested in taking your program to school. So, for example, here's a search that I did on Google on my mobile phone for MBA degree. Now, I'm not sure how many schools that you're at that offer MBAs, but you could type in any other kind of numerous higher ed keywords. So you'll see at the top in the yellow, there are 3 ads that are showing. One for HALT, one for Queen's University in Canada, and another one for Athabasca University in Canada. So what I did is I clicked on a couple of these, and again, to show you the mobile experience here. So here's the landing page that I saw when I clicked on the ad for Athabasca University. And again, if you're familiar with using your smartphone and you browse a lot and you go to a website that's not optimized for mobile, it can be a frustrating experience having to pinch and zoom and scroll and not really being catered to mobile users. And yet the ad appeared when I searched on the mobile phone. Alternative to that is what I found when I landed on the Queen's University landing page, where it was geared to and designed for the mobile experience. So here you see two alternating signs where it's either optimized for mobile or not optimized. Now again, clicking on that ad costs Athabasca University money, right? So if you are not targeting correctly and your landing pages that you have your Google traffic going to are not set up to be optimized for mobile devices, there's a good chance that you'll have a high bounce rate, which means people will leave that site without clicking a link, and that your ad spend for that particular click will be wasted. So really quickly here, Google has, in the last few months, changed how you can target mobile devices. So this is a screenshot from the campaign settings screen from inside Google Adwords, and you'll notice here that there are 3 devices particularly targeted: basic desktop computers, mobile devices with full browsers, and tablets with full browsers. So if you, this is from a particular ad campaign, and you'll notice that all types of devices were targeted. But let's say my landing page for this campaign wasn't optimized for mobile. I really don't want to spend any dollars on mobile because I could be wasting my ad spend and rather go into the desktop devices. So you'll see under the column bid adjustment, if you click right in that where that dashed line is, and you'll see this when you go into your AdWords campaign, it'll pop up with a pop-up window, and you can decrease or increase your bid for that particular device. So let's say I did not want my ad to appear on any mobile devices because it wasn't optimized, the landing page wasn't optimized. I would select decrease from the drop-down menu, as you see, and I'd say decrease by 100%. Now, the flip side is also true. Let's say you're running a strictly mobile-only campaign. You could increase your bid spend for mobile devices by 100%, and it would only show up on mobile devices. So that's one thing really to keep in mind here, is to have that targeting set. And if you don't have optimized landing pages for mobile, reduce your mobile spend by 100%. The third factor in a successful AdWords campaign is your ad copy. Well, like you see here, a well-crafted ad means the difference between a click and no click. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's to sum it up. It also includes including call to actions and the right keywords and all that, the proper messaging. But really, these are the 4 kind of tenets that really make up a successful AdWords campaign. And the last one for us to go over briefly here is landing pages. I talked about them briefly when I was talking about mobile, but if you have spend your ads on your AdWords, you have clicks coming through, and then you take them to an experience that is poor, hard to navigate, doesn't accomplish your business goals, then you're going to really find that even though you might be getting the impressions and the click-throughs, you won't be getting your intended action, whether it's an application or a sign-up or an event registration, whatever the case may be. So one of the things that I think is really important, and for those who have tried a little bit with AdWords, if you haven't been doing this, it's really important that you really need to be checking your measurements, your metrics. In Google Analytics, you can track a lot of your web traffic. I don't know if there's a way that you guys can signal through a hands up if you guys use Google Analytics on your website. If you can, give me a hands up, let me see. But you really need to be tracking your activities. And Google AdWords provides a lot of data to help you identify what's working and what's not working. And I love this quote from Edward Deming: "In God we trust, all of us must bring data." Another quote. Oh, good. I'm glad to see some of you are using Google Analytics. There also is a very robust metrics system in AdWords, and we'll talk about some of those tools in a few minutes here. And this is one thing I think is also really important to know. This is from an economist, but you may think, well, I don't understand or know what data we should be looking at. And this quote really kind of puts that in perspective. Errors using inadequate data are much less than using no data at all. So while you might not have a perfect grasp on Google Analytics and web metrics, on AdWords data, being able to use it and look at it and use it to adjust your actions is better than not using any data at all, even if you're not 100% clear on what all the data means. So what to measure? So there's a couple of things. If your goals are branding, you want to get your name out there. There's a number of metrics inside AdWords and Google Analytics that you can look at. Obviously, impressions are fairly straightforward. Someone searches for something, your ad gets seen, it's an impression. Clicks would be clicking through to your website from the AdWords. Pages per visit are obviously pretty straightforward. Bounce rate, I'm not sure how many are you familiar with that. That basically would be if someone came to your website from, let's say, Google Ad, and they left right away without clicking any other link, that would be a bounce. And so you want to actually have a low bounce rate. So if you, let's say, you have an ad campaign running, you might have high impressions, let's say tens of thousands, but you have a very high bounce rate on Google Analytics. That means at some point along the path, whether it's the ad or the landing page experience, they didn't match up to what they were expecting and they bounced. New versus returning is a great metric to actually indicate if you're getting that brand loyalty, that student loyalty. And the ultimate kind of holy grail of your goals would be your conversions. And a conversion doesn't necessarily have to be a form completion. It could be a page visit, how long you want them to spend on your site, a file download, etc. On the AdWords side, again, we've gone through a few. There's impressions, clicks, conversions, and you can actually connect. If you Google, there's a lot of help on how you can connect your analytics account to your conversions account, to your AdWords account. And when you do that, you can actually then see the cost per conversion. So if you set goals on analytics and you connect your analytics account to AdWords, not only will you be able to see the cost per click, but you're able to see how much it's costing you to actually get that conversion, whether it's a form completion or a file download. Click-through rate also is really important. That actually indicates that the message that's in the ad is resonating with the visitor, and they actually are looking for more and they're clicking through your ad. And quality score is basically a kind of collection of your landing page experience, the likelihood of your click-through rate, and your keyword relevance. And Google gives each keyword in each ad a quality score. And so it's between 0 and 10. Obviously, 10 is the greatest and 0 is the worst. And every time and you'll see that in a few minutes here, but if you're buying a keyword, there'll be a little speech bubble. If you roll your cursor over it, you actually will get the quality score for that keyword. If you have a low quality score, you still might have your keywords work and your ads trigger, but you're going to end up having to pay more per click, and your ad will actually lower in the position on the page than if it had a higher quality score. So these are kind of the top level things to consider measuring when running a Google AdWords campaign. Are there any questions so far? Maybe I'll just kind of stop for a pulse check and see if you have any questions. If you do, fire them off, and Becky will send them to me, and we'll ask them. We'll answer them. Sorry. So, okay, none yet. All right. So we're going to get right into keywords. So this is really the meat and potatoes of your AdWords campaign. It's what triggers your ads. It's what actually has a lot of relevance. So, obviously, you know how Google works. Someone types in a keyword phrase or a term, triggers Google Ads and other organic search results. But also, it's really important to keep your keywords, whatever you decide for your keywords, also have them on your landing page, because Google does crawl through, and that's what actually helps that page relevance and that quality score. But also, where available, put your keywords inside your ads as well. Because if you are searching, let's say, for MBA degree, as the keyword, as the example I showed you on the mobile piece, and that's the keyword in your ad, that actually becomes bolded in the ad, drawing their eye a bit more to that ad over and above the other ads that might appear on the page. So a couple of sound bites you guys can kind of write down that you can share and keep. Don't cast your keywords net too wide. So basically, and what I'm kind of saying by this is you might be tempted to put every possible keyword phrase that's relevant or somewhat relevant to your program with what you're trying to promote in your keyword list. And that can be a really dangerous activity here. And another kind of quote with that is to not spray and pray. So basically throwing out all the keywords you can imagine, hoping and praying that one of them will work. What happens with that is that you'll end up targeting audiences that might not be interested in your product. You may get impressions, you may get clicks, but you're not going to, at some point in the conversion cycle, they're going to drop off and you're going to have that ad spend wasted. And to give you an example, when I worked at Lethbridge College, we had a consultant helping us with our AdWords campaign. And we have a program called Heavy Equipment Technician. Basically, you learn how to work on equipment that you see in this picture. Big tractors, you know, construction equipment, that kind of thing. And some of the keywords that they had put in to our AdWords campaign were heavy equipment sales and heavy equipment rentals. They're two examples. Now, while those are related to heavy equipment, I'm not sure, you guys probably would agree, but I'm pretty sure that students considering a career or an education to become a heavy equipment technician would not be searching using heavy equipment rentals. In fact, those keywords brought in audiences. In fact, we had very high search and very high impressions and click-through rate, but the bounce rate was very high. We were spending a lot on those keywords. So I think one thing that's keep in mind here is not cast your net too wide. So what I've done when I've done AdWords campaigns, and I've been working in post-secondary, is try and keep the keyword phrases relative to education, training, certification, degree, diploma, that kind of thing. Even, for example, where I work now, we have nursing diplomas that we offer. I don't really want to attract people who are looking for nursing jobs because quite often those are already nurses who are educated and don't need the training. So it's really important to fine-tune your keywords. One thing, I guess, to be able to understand, to be able to fine-tune your keywords, is the keyword matching types. Now, by default, when you set up an AdWords campaign and you add your keywords in, and we'll show you the tool that does that in a few minutes, the default is broad match. And so basically what you see here is it's a very broad match that includes a number of variations, synonyms, misspellings, etc. So, and it can bring in a lot of unwanted searches and traffic to your campaign. And we'll show you a tool that you can use to identify that. The next is a broad match modifier. So basically, it's similar to broad match, but contains the modified term or close variation, but not synonyms in any order. So it could be college degree or degrees at colleges, but it won't have universities. The next match type is your phrase match. So basically what this would be is it has to match the exact phrase or close variations. So a business college degree. College degree has to be matched, but things can be in front or after it. Unlike the broad match where it could be a synonym like university. The exact match is exactly how it is. It can only be college degree in this example and no other terms before or after it. Now this is a kind of very narrow term, but if you're have very specific audiences and very specific keywords you're looking for, the exact match can help you ensure that you're not going to be found for unrelevant or searches that you don't want to be connected to, as in the next example, which is the negative match, right? So let's say, for example, you wanted to have you want to add the negative keyword of worthless. So our searches so the worthless term would not get triggered if someone searched for best college, right? So if someone searched for worthless college degree, if you just had broad match as your keyword, your ad could trigger and be connected to that keyword phrase of worthless college degree. So by adding negative keyword matches, it prevents certain words that either aren't relevant to your product or may be negative in the approach or the message that it gives from being used. Any questions about the keyword matching types? One kind of overarching message is that your broad match should be used sparingly. I think when you start your campaign, it's okay for a little while to leave them all as broad match, because one of the things that it will do for you is it will trigger other ideas for keywords you may not have thought of. And you'll find that in the keyword report tool, which we'll talk about in a few slides. It'll actually show you what search terms are being used to trigger your ad, and then it might give you some ideas for other keywords to add. But once you kind of have your campaign running for a week or two, if it's a longer campaign or a few days and it's a short campaign, really go in and adjust those keywords from being broad to being more specific. I think a common habit would be to turn on and leave. And I think that happens. I know I'm guilty of it, where you get your ad campaign running, it's all good, it's going great, you set your keywords up, but you don't really spend the time to monitor. And that's where a lot of wasted dollars can happen, where you could end up spending $5 or $6 per click, or getting keywords that aren't really relative to your product or your service. So I think keep in mind to check your campaigns on a regular basis. Not really how frequent depends on how long the campaign is. If it's a 2-week kind of rapid campaign, you might want to check it every other day. If it's more of a 3-month campaign, maybe once a week. Something else to consider, again, with keywords is adding long tail keywords. So basically a long tail keyword are keyword phrases or terms that have less search frequency, but they also have less cost and less competition. So if let's say you have dozens and dozens of long tail keywords, you may be able to still generate enough kind of impressions and results and searches than if you just had a few head keywords. And so an example here, would be college would be kind of one of the head keywords. So high competition, high cost, you're going to have a hard time competing for that keyword for college. To break it down, something a little bit more towards the long tail spectrum would be adding the term business college. But yet still pretty competitive, pretty hard to compete for. But maybe adding California Business College, or even in the example on the next slide that I'll show you, San Diego, California Business College. So think about not just, your typical, oh, well, we offer MBAs, we offer nursing degrees. Think about how you can expand that to have more words in your phrase, and the more specific you are, and if you have more of those long tail keywords, the less you're going to be paying per click because there's less competition. So in the example here, I searched for college, and I used Google.com, so it would be relative to your market. So there were, what is that, almost 2 billion pages. I think that's what that is. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of pages for searching for the term college. If I add California Business College, that number almost becomes a quarter of the search results that you're competing for. And this is organic, so it's not the same as pay-per-click as AdWords, but it's just kind of showing you the number of pages in the competition and the search frequency for these types of keywords. And then if I added San Diego, California Business College, then all of a sudden my number of competition pages is a lot smaller. So you get the idea here that just going for what you think, oh, well, no, we're college, we're university, let's throw that in and make one of our keywords. It's going to be really difficult, and if you do trigger an ad for that keyword, you're going to probably pay quite a bit for that click. and your daily budget that you set up for AdWords will get spent really quickly. So don't forget your brand keywords. So what I mean by that is, people probably in your area, in whatever state you are in, probably know about your institution. They know about some of the great work that or they may not know about your great work, but they know about your brand. In fact, and I don't know if this is the same for your institution, the #1 keyword, organic search keyword that triggers traffic to our site is our brand name, is our institution name, right? So why not use that as one of your keywords, right? You're going to pay less per click because it's not a highly competitive keyword, and you're going to get what's called sometimes a double impression. So if you already are ranking pretty high for your organic for a particular program, whether it's an MBA or an engineering degree, and then you have a pay-per-click, a Google ad on the same first page, you get what's called a double impression. You get double the impressions, you get more likelihood of them finding and clicking through, whether they click through on the organic search or the AdWords. It doesn't really matter, it just means one doesn't cost you anything. So don't forget to add those brand keywords, your institution name, maybe, if you're promoting a program, maybe the alumni group for that program or your sports teams. Think about some of the keywords. And you can get a lot of good ideas even just by looking at your Google Analytics account to see what brand keywords people are using to get to your site in general. Those might be the same ones you want to use in your AdWords campaign. Keeping in mind that you need to have those keywords reflective throughout the process. So that means adding, if one of your keywords is your brand, adding your institution name into the ad itself, and making sure that throughout the landing page, in the title tag, in the body copy, your brand, your institution name is there as well. Another thing to keep in mind is to think like your target audiences. So I'll tell you a quick story about this. So again, this is on the organic search results, but I think it's relative to pay-per-click as they are very much the same in a lot of the activities. So we were working with a consultant when I was at my last college to target our fashion design program. We wanted to get on ranked 1 for certain keywords. One of the keyword phrases that we targeted was fashion design school, right? We wanted to get on page 1 when anyone searched for that in Google. And we did it. But what was interesting is when talking with the faculty in that program, they indicated that, well, that's not really the search term or the idea that our students think about or would search for. So, right, so you might think that you got all these great keywords you're targeting for your AdWords, but maybe that's not what your audience is thinking of like. Maybe you aren't getting the right keywords, even though it seems like it internally, institutionally you do. But what are your audiences? What are your prospective students or your alumni or whoever you're trying to reach out to? What are they thinking? How are they wording that program or that service you're offering? So really try and think about your audiences, whether you do, a quick focus group or an online survey or just kind of an informal kind of talking with them. Get some idea of what they are using the search for to find your content. Another thing that you can do, again, to help with that is going to your analytics, Google Analytics account for your website and drill down to see what keywords people are using and maybe strip out the brand keywords so that you're just kind of focusing on, engineering degrees in California or whatever keyword. And those can also be used because that's what they have used to find your site. That might be useful in targeting your AdWords as well. So one of the tools that you can use, and they changed this recently in Google, is your Google Keyword Planner. It used to be I think it was your Google Research Tool, or Keyword Tool, or something like that. So it's changed a little bit. To get access to it, this is like the screenshot of your home page when you log into Google AdWords. You'll see the different tabs, home, campaigns. Tools and analysis is where you see the Keyword Planner tool as you see in the screenshot. Click on that once you're in your AdWords account, and then this is what you'll see. There are a couple of ways that you can search, but primarily the best way is to search for a new keyword or ad group idea, right? And you'll see this on the screen when you go to the planner tool. So what you would do in this case is, as you see in the example, your product or service basically would be your keyword that you want to start with as the base keyword to get ideas from. If you want, you can add your landing page and also the category, whether it's higher education, most likely. If you add your landing page, what it will do is it will crawl to your landing page as well that you've got set up and use that as a fuel to generate keyword suggestions that you could use in your AdWords campaign. Because again, obviously, you don't want to target keywords that have no relevance on your landing page because you're going to get penalized and pay you a lot more per click. So once you've done that, you'll see a screen that has two tabs. The first tab that you see is the ad group ideas. And so this is what Google's suggesting if you want to set up different ad groups. So I searched for California Business College, and it suggested an ad group for California Business, Top Business San Diego, California Community. None of these really probably would be what I would want to use. So then I could go ahead and click on the Keyword Ideas tab and get some keyword suggestions that Google has. Excuse me. You see at the top the search term that I started with, California Business College. So it's got a high competition, but then it also shows keyword suggestions below that. So business colleges in California, Santa Barbara Business College, colleges in California for business. And what it will do is it will show you the average monthly searches, the competition, the suggested bid for that. And so if you want to add these keywords, you can either click, you'll notice at the top right, there's an Add All button. You can add all the keywords, or you can, you'll see there's a column in the bottom or on the right, Add to Plan. You can click that arrow. It will basically add it to a shopping cart so that you can add them all at once and then add all the keywords that you've selected to your AdWords campaign. This is a great tool to get some ideas for keywords that you can use. The other thing also that you can do is use when you go to add your initial AdWord campaign, you'll add your landing page, it will crawl that and make some suggestions as well to add right off the bat. One of the things that I would probably suggest is that you do create different AdWord groups, ad groups for a campaign if the keywords are different, because the keywords are kind of connected at the AdWord group level. So if you have a campaign that's, winter 2012, for your winter recruitment season, or sorry, 2013, but you have various programs you're targeting, you probably want to create an ad group for each of those programs because the keywords will be different for those different programs. And that way you can have the keywords specific to, let's say, engineering, a keyword set specific to business, a keyword set specific to nursing, etc. The other tool is just basically your keywords tab. So if you are in your ad group or your campaign, you'll notice there's a number of tabs. I've got the keyword tab selected. And what this will do is it will show me all the keywords that are in my ad group or in my campaign. And this is from one that we did at Northwest College. And you'll notice right off the bat a few kind of key things to point out here. So first of all, a couple of our branded keywords, Northwest and Northwest College, had a fairly low cost per click, but also one of the higher click-through rates, 3.6 and 4.2% respectively. So obviously those keywords resonated really well with those people that searched them because they already were connected and knew a little bit about our institution. So what you can do, what you can do is at the keywords tab, let's say, for example, hypothetically, the first keyword Northwest, let's say I was paying not 54 cents per click, but I was paying $6 per click. And I've seen some campaigns that actually have that. And you should never, ever pay $6 per click. In fact, if I'm paying more than $4 a click, I'm paying too much. And I guess that's relative depending on the popularity and the competition of the keyword. But let's say I was paying $6 per click for this keyword. You'll notice beside the keywords, there's a green circle on the left-hand side. That circle means that that is an active keyword. I can click on that, and it will bring up a dialog menu that will let me either pause or delete the keyword, right? So what I will do, I won't delete because then you'll lose the data with that keyword. So what I'll do is I'll pause that keyword. What that will do is it will allow the other keywords to get triggered more often, and I want to get the keywords that have a low cost per click, a high click-through rate to get triggered, because those are the ones that are going to bring people to my landing page. So another tool is the keyword report tool, and this is a great one because let's say you've got your ad campaign running, you've got all your keywords added, which is great, they're all perfect. Well, one of the things that you don't really know is when you look at that screen before, is it shows you just your keywords that you've added and the clicks and impressions that they're getting. The keyword report tool will actually show you the search terms that people are entering in Google that trigger your ads, right? And quite often they are different, right? So to access your keyword report tool, again, from the same keywords tab, you click the details button, and a drop-down menu will appear, and you will click all, like you see pointing by the arrow. That'll bring up this screen that will actually show you the search terms that people are using, right? These are not the terms that you're targeting, but the terms that people are using. Again, if you have a broad match or a phrase match, that can trigger variations of keywords that you think you might be targeting. And in some cases, it might be ones that you don't want to have, you don't want to be used. So if that's the case, what you can do is, let's say, for example, and actually probably should have gone in, again, guilty of not going in enough, Edmonton area jobs part-time students. That keyword probably shouldn't have been triggered, so I should have gone back, selected it in the checkbox, and then I can make that keyword paused or excluded, and that will never get triggered in our AdWords campaign. The other thing that you can do is maybe there are keywords that got triggered, search terms that triggered your ad, and you want to add them so that they'll get triggered more. You can actually select those and add them. And you can see a few keywords I have here: Northwest College, Northwest College Edmonton. They were added after the fact. So the keyword report tool is a really good tool because it will let you know what search terms people are using. So let's say you had, Southern California Business School, and that keyword was in there, and you had it as a broad match. Well, what it could do is it could maybe trigger Southern California Business Schools that suck, right? You don't want that to work, so you could exclude that particular keyword by using this keyword report tool. Sorry, I jumped in, my computer froze for a second, but I'm now back. Hopefully you didn't miss any of my last little spiel there. Any questions so far before we go on? So we've been talking about keywords primarily. We talked a little bit about targeting, but not a lot, just really from the mobile device experience. But like I mentioned earlier, keywords are just one part of the 4 kind of factors for a successful AdWords campaign. You've got your targeting, your ad copy, and your landing pages. Your pay-per-click, your AdWords campaign is really only as strong as the weakest link. So let's say you put in countless hours doing your keyword research, you've written an amazing series of ads for your campaign, you've got your targeting down packed, but your landing page sucks. Your campaign is going to fail. Right? Flip side, you could have the best landing page, the best targeting, the proper keywords, but your ads just fall flat. They're not engaging. They're not successful. Your whole campaign will fall flat. So really, you can't. If someone was to ask me, what should I spend all my time on? What's the most important factor? Is it the keywords? Is it your targeting? Is it landing pages? And I've been asked that, and I have a hard time answering it because really, you need to give due diligence to all of those areas, because if you don't, your campaign will fail, right? You know, and I've also been asked about consultants. Like, I shared a couple of experiences about consultants doing work. I think consultants can be a very powerful tool as long as you are working closely with them. I think where it can become problematic, and this might have been our case, our experience at the time, because this was a few years ago, was that we didn't understand what the consultants were telling us, right? And so while I might not need to be an expert in Google AdWords and use a consultant, I think it's really important that you have a strong understanding of not just terminology like click-through rate and bounce rate and that kind of thing, but that you understand how these tools can be used, how you should be measuring, how you should be developing your campaign. Because then if you want to outsource it to a consultant because you are strapped for resources, you don't have enough people, then at least you'll be able to speak educatedly with them and be able to know when to kind of challenge them and push them, right? But I think that's also really important as well. So even though we've talked briefly for the last, I guess, 45 minutes or so on keywords, it's really important to have a strong understanding of all the areas. And I could probably talk for hours on landing pages and AdWords copy. In fact, I have copy for that. But today we were talking about keywords as a key piece to get you started here. So do you guys have any questions? I know I've asked it quite a few times here, but we're at a point where if you have some questions, we can get them asked and answered. I also blog regularly on a number of topics related to social media, digital marketing, etc. You can find me at mcmcready.ca. And you can also follow me on Twitter. Now, I got a question in here. What are some of the biggest mistakes I have made? I don't make any mistakes, right? That's why I do this. No, just kidding. I think I kind of alluded to one before, and that was we worked with a consultant, and we were kind of applying the spray and pray model, right? We were throwing our net too wide, and we got a lot of traffic that just wasn't qualified. In fact, when I went through, after we kind of ended that kind of relationship with the consultant, and I went through on my own and revised our keywords and really focused it on our product, which was training, education, diplomas, that kind of terminology. We actually saw, and we were spending less money. We lowered our Google ad budget, but we saw a 5% increase in our click-through rate. So even though we spent less money, our click-through rate and our impressions went up because we kind of honed in on keywords. I think another big mistake that I'm still guilty of, because I think as is the case with all of you, I'm sure, or many of you, is I do this off the side of my desk. I'm the manager of marketing and web development, and we have a couple of advisors and some web developers, but I do so much more. And so not giving AdWords the proper attention that it needs can really be costly. And I'm sure it's costed us in the past here, but I think the only thing I can suggest to go forward with that is to learn from those mistakes and to really be willing to spend some time to nurture your campaign. And I don't think it needs hours and hours a day, but a few minutes a day or a few minutes a week to make sure you're on track. All right, so I have another question coming in. So where do you see search engine marketing or SEM fitting into the overall marketing plan? We all do lots of things. How does it fit together? So I think to answer that, I think that your Google Ads, your online marketing, your pay-per-click really is a tool in your belt and really shouldn't be invested in without investing in your other avenues, right? So for example, we have 4 times a year, we have health information night. So people will come learn about our nursing, our pharmacy technician programs, all of our health programs. So our campaigns look something similar to newspaper ads or on the commuter train, billboards, radio ads, Google ads, and homepage carousel states, right? So I think that search engine marketing can be a really good tool especially if you need to target, because it has the strong targeting needs that you don't really get with radio or other traditional media. I think one thing that is also beneficial is that your traditional media, like a billboard or a newspaper ad or radio ad, will cost several $1,000s potentially, and for several $1,000s on Google Ads, you can get, you know, hundreds of thousands of impressions. I just ran a campaign for our health info night. Like I was mentioning, I think we spent about $1,800, and I can't recall the last number, but I think it was upwards of almost 200,000 impressions. So a question from Linda: can you name an AdWords campaign that has been known to be extremely successful? Well, I can't really speak about other campaigns because I don't have access to those. All I can really speak to, and I don't know of any case studies, but that's something that I think would be a great point of a blog post, is to research some case studies of some AdWords campaigns. Again, all I can really speak to is the AdWords campaign that we've done to promote our health career info nights. Each year that we do it, this is the second year that we do it 4 times a year. Each time we've done it has been more successful and more successful, to the point where my director, the first time we did it, I think we had a $500 campaign budget to promote that event. Now it was up to $2,500. So I think that in itself is a testament that, you know, seeing the conversions, seeing the impressions and the click-through rates is helpful to kind of get that dollar amount increase. And that's a question that you might have in your head. You know, this sounds great, but how do I actually get my directors, my VPs, whoever you have to get to give you the green light on the budget? How do I get them to give me the green light? And what I would suggest is to propose it as a pilot, right? So if there is a particular events are great for AdWords because they're timed, and AdWords is an immediate response. We're kind of working on your organic, takes a lot more time. Find an event, whether it's a recruitment event or any other open house, and create an AdWords campaign, and suggest that you run a $200 or a $300 campaign budget for that. And that in itself isn't a lot for AdWords, but it's enough to actually demonstrate the results through the click-through rates, the impressions, the conversions. One thing I would suggest, though, is that before indulging in the AdWords campaign, you figure out on the business side what you want the visitors to accomplish, right? Is it an event registration? Is it an application, a course registration? Because if you go to set that out and get your AdWords campaign, you haven't clearly identified what your goals are, you really won't really know if you've been successful. Another question here is, what are some of your must-have tools that you use with AdWords for successful campaigns? Well, I went over a few of them. AdWords Planner is key. The keyword report tool. Another one that I use, and you can download it from Google, I believe, is a desktop client. So you can actually install it on your machine, connect it to your AdWords account, and it allows you to manage your campaigns a lot more fluidly than the experience online. So that's a great tool to use. Some other tools that you can use is, I've got a list of them, and what maybe I can do, I can't recall offhand, is there is one tool that actually lets you look at some competitors. I'll have to look for that tool up, but I can pass it on to Becky, and she can include that when she sends out the link to the presentation. But yeah, Keyword Planner, Keyword Report tool, the AdWords editor, I believe it's called, that you can download. Those are key tools. So we're almost about done for time, but I'll throw one more call up for questions. If you have any other questions. If not, feel free to tweet me a question at Mike McCready, and I'll be more than willing to give you some insight or help you figure something out if you have any questions you haven't thought of right now. If there aren't any questions, oh, sorry.
Hey, no problem. Great. I was just going to thank you, Mike, for spending your hour with us and giving us some really, really good insights here. Just to sort of wrap up for everybody on the call, we have recorded this. It will be available. We'll have it on convergeconsulting.org, and also we'll email it out to you guys. And again, Mike's contact info is right there. He's a great resource for us. So thanks, everybody, and I think we're going to wrap it up. Have a great afternoon.